Hello again. We are reading chapter 11 in The Secret in the Old Attic, a Nancy Drew mystery story. As always, we've got permission to do this. And there's that cover from an old version of this book. All right, so here we go. Chapter 11, The Mysterious Letter. Effie tried to scream, but no sound came from her throat. She recoiled a step from the window. When the girl regained sufficient courage to look out again, the man was gone. Terrified, Effie leaped into bed. For a long while she lay absolutely still, the covers pulled up to her ears. I locked all the doors and windows before I came to bed, she encouraged herself. A man couldn't get into this place. Or could he? A sudden sharp breeze rattled the windows. Overhead the timbers groaned. Now what was that? The wind, or was it somebody walking across a loose board? Effie was wondering. The maid just could not sleep. She was convinced that the man she had seen outside had slipped into the house. Maybe he knows a secret way to get in, Effie said to herself. Maybe he's in the house right now. Oh dear, what was that? She heard the door down the hall open with a squeak. Then footsteps with measured noises came along the hall. Effie could not bear the surprise any longer. She was frightened out of her wits, but she tiptoed to the bedroom door and looked outside. "Oh, it's you, Mr. March," she said in relief, recognizing him in a moment. "I thought it was someone sneaking along the hall." She told him of the prowling figure outside. "Well, there's no one in here," he said. Though Mr. March himself had heard suspicious noises, he did not wish to alarm the maid. "You'd better get back to bed now, Effie." "I can't sleep for thinking of Miss Nancy," the girl wailed. "She promised to come back tonight. Oh, I hope nothing has happened to her." Mr. March tried to reassure Effie. "She probably thought it was too late to phone us." Satisfied, Effie returned to her bed and immediately dropped into a deep sleep. Mr. March himself felt a little jittery. "I wish Nancy had stayed here tonight," he thought. "I'm going upstairs." The elderly man went to get a candle. He climbed the attic stairs and looked around. There did not appear to be anyone on the third floor at all. He poked among the various boxes and trunks, but found nothing out of the ordinary. "Both Effie and I distinctly heard sounds," he kept telling himself. Finally, Mr. March went downstairs and got back into bed, but he couldn't sleep. Suddenly, the elderly man became aware of a car motor and voices outside. Going to a front window, he was relieved to see Nancy and her father. Mr. March hurried below to welcome the Drews. Nancy's father stayed only a moment before heading back to his own home. "I'm sorry to be so late," Nancy said. "I was delayed." Soon she was listening to an account of the strange noises and the prowling figure at Pleasant Hedges. "But there's no point in investigating further tonight," he finished. "All seems quiet now, and Effie has settled down." "I'm just sorry I wasn't here earlier," Nancy declared. "I was doing some detective work for my dad." "Well, you must be tired, Nancy," Mr. March said. "Come get some sleep and we'll tackle the mystery again tomorrow." Nancy was glad to say good night and quickly got into bed. She fell asleep almost at once. As Nancy was finishing a late breakfast the next morning, Mrs. French dropped in to say goodbye. "And how is my dear little Susan?" she asked. "I miss taking care of her." Mr. March smiled at his old friend who had looked after his granddaughter so lovingly. "Susan and I are going to miss you," he said. "And I'll miss you," she said. "Maybe you can visit us in our new home." She went upstairs to say goodbye to Susan. Mr. March followed. Nancy decided to go home and work on the Dite mystery. After telling Effie she would be back that afternoon, the young detective left the old mansion. At home she found Bess and George waiting for her. "You really move in on a mystery," Bess teased her. "We never know whether to look for you here or at the Marches' home." "But I'm still no closer to finding the missing music," Nancy admitted. "That house keeps its secrets well." How about having lunch downtown with Bess and me? George suggested. Fine idea, Nancy said. I'll tell Hannah that I won't be here. By the way, how are you making out with Diane? George asked. Well, she gave me several pretty dresses for Susan, Nancy replied. Because of the confidential nature of her father's case, she thought it best not to reveal anything she had learned in the Dite factory. After telling the housekeeper her plans, Nancy stopped at the hall table to look through the mail which had just come. At once she seized a letter from the Jenner Music Publishing Company in Oxford. As Nancy tore open the envelope, she explained to the girls that she had written to the firm several days before to ask for information about the composer Ben Banks. I'll read it aloud. Dear Miss Drew, we regret that we are unable to provide any of the information you requested concerning Ben Banks, whose songs we publish. Sincerely yours, Milton Jenner. Well, that's a cool answer, George said. What's so secret about that information? I wish I knew, Nancy said. I'm going to phone for an appointment. She looked up the number and dialed it. Nancy was informed that Mr. Jenner never granted appointments by phone. She would have to write for an appointment. Oh boy. Disappointed, she told this to Bess and to George. Do you mind waiting while I write a note? Nancy said. Oh, not at all, Bess said. We'll go talk with Hannah. And Bess will help herself to some cookies, George teased her cousin. In the note, Nancy stated that there was a matter of vital importance she would like to discuss with Mr. Jenner. She would appreciate talking to him as soon as possible. When Nancy finished the note, she called Bess and George. Come with me while I mail this, she suggested. Then we'll eat. How about you girls going out to Pleasant Hedges with me for the night? Effie ought to have some time off. That place is anything but pleasant, Bess remarked. It gives me the creeps. Oh, a ghost or two won't hurt you, George kidded her. Come on, let's go. After a pleasant luncheon, Nancy drove the girls home. I'll pick you up at 4 o'clock, she said. Before going home, Nancy did several errands. They included buying new supplies for the March household. On impulse, Nancy stopped at the leading music store and asked for copies of all the songs composed by Ben Banks. There are only 3, the clerk told her. I have both the records and the sheet music of Song of the Wind and these other 2. They're kind of newer. Well, when were they published? Very recently. They came out one night after the other. Ben Banks must be a cool guy to compose 3 great songs in such a short period of time. Nancy thought so too. It sounded very suspicious. She listened to the records but did not buy them because Mr. March had no record player. She did buy the sheet music, however, and sat down at the store's piano to play the 2 selections that she had not heard before. Oh, you do all right, miss, the girl complimented her. Nancy smiled, paid for the sheet music, and left the shop. Her mind was working fast. She was sure Mr. March had whistled parts of the melodies that she just played. Then a sudden thought struck her. If Ben Banks stole them from Phip March, I wonder if his publisher knows, she said. It could explain his giving out no information. At 4 o'clock, Nancy met Bess and George and drove to the March house. Effie greeted them at the door. Nancy said to her, Tonight, you go to the movies and then home for the night. We're going to stay here. Wow, said Effie in delight, hurrying off to change her clothes. When Bess and George were starting preparations for supper, Nancy went to find Mr. March. He was trying to seal a crack in a second-floor hall ceiling. I have something to show you, she said, holding out the music. Does this look like your son's work? Now, bless you, I don't think I would know, exclaimed Mr. March, peering at the sheets. I can't read music. I'll sing the melodies to you, Nancy said. After hearing them, the elderly man cried out, Yes! Those are Phip's tunes. I'd like to go into court and face that thief Ben Banks. Nancy told him about the letter she'd received and the reply that she sent. Good, he said. Those songs belong to the Marches, and I want the world to know it. I wish I could find some definitive proof before I meet Mr. Jenner, said Nancy. Tomorrow I'll hunt for some more. Supper was a delicious meal which included a special casserole of beef and vegetables, ice cream, and cake. Mr. March was delighted. "Oh, this seems like old times," he said. "It's like one of the family dinner parties we used to have here." Shortly after supper, Nancy put Susan to bed. But the child was not sleepy. She begged for one story after another. "Tell me about a king," she said. "Well, once upon a time." Nancy's voice trailed off. Susan noticed her attention was focused on the garden. "Why don't you go on?" the little girl asked. "Did you see something?" Nancy did not reply. Jumping quickly to her feet, she moved closer to the window. The hour was well past 9 o'clock, and dusk had settled over the garden. In the gleam of light from the kitchen windows, she saw the bushes move. As they parted, the dark, shadowy figure of a man glided forward. Was this the man Effie had seen? "I'll be back in a minute," Nancy said to Susan. Without taking time to tell anyone what she intended to do, Nancy hastened outdoors in pursuit of the prowler. Ooh. All right, that's the end of our reading for today. Come back and see me again, and we'll go ahead and continue with our book.